Greetings from London. This is Maryum, Sharif, and welcome to the Star Moguls podcast. This week, we are discussing weight loss, weight gain, what to do and what not to do, because there's so many things out there. It gets confusing. Today's guest is Dr. Tabs Malik, and she is a weight loss specialist and facial palsy advocate, co-founder of the Vibe Clinic. And she's co-founding her clinic with her husband, who's also a doctor. And this is cutting edge health and wellness practice. It is based in Reading. Welcome, Tabby.
Thank you so much, Maryum. Thank you for having me. And it's such an honor to be on your platform and to also create awareness and actually dismiss any myths around weight loss and weight management that are going around on social media at the moment.
Absolutely. We are talking about nutrition. We're talking
Mhm.
about metabolic health. We are talking about body sculpting, some
Yes.
supplements, some things I've been seeing on social media, because
Yeah.
not everything is suited for everyone.
No.
So let's talk about something. The first thing that I want to ask you, I just saw
Mhm.
something just now, 5 minutes ago, on TikTok. Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen an ad for this supplement, and the celebrities apparently have taken it. Kim
Yeah.
Kardashian took it, and
Of
I want
course.
you to put us right with this one. Firstly, this is
Hmm.
it's called
Yeah.
NMN,
Yeah.
and have you heard of it?
So I think everyone has probably read about it or heard about it, especially in the
Mhm.
social media. But when you were at school and you were learning
Yes.
about the Krebs cycle, there was a molecule or a chemical called NAC. Okay,
Uh huh.
and
Yeah.
basically that actually is part of the Krebs cycle that helps produce ATP, and that's the energy that we get and helps with the respiratory system and everything. So everyone has this NAC molecule in our body. It exists in our cells, but what happens is that over the age of 40, they have found that the NAC levels actually decrease, which is
Okay.
proportionately there's a relationship with aging and with the amount of energy you have and cellular repair, brain function. So there's lots of things that NAC actually is responsible for within our cells. So it's all a part of regenerative medicine. Now, what is how does it get into a body? How do we replenish it? How do we know whether we have enough of it? Well, we already know that after the age of 40, there is a decline with it. So it makes sense if there is available NAC that you can actually take it. So it does come as tablets these days, supplements, it comes as injections, and it also comes as IVs, intravenous drips. So there is a lot of evidence out there, especially in America and in Dubai and on Harley Street, even in London at the moment. There's a big buzz about all this. Um,
Yes.
Lots of people are spending money on the supplements. However, all the supplements that exist, we don't know how much there is of the NAC in each capsule pack. Number one. Number two,
Right.
we do not know how much of it, once you have swallowed it, goes and is absorbed into the body. Because it has to
Right.
go through, so for any tablet, it has to go through the liver as well. So it's something called first pass, and so we don't really know how much of it gets absorbed and it's used up and how long it will take for the tablets to have an effect. Whereas if
Mhm.
you were to take an IV drip, the effects are
Right.
usually immediate. However, you need a course of it. And some people who have come to our clinic, because we are very, very cost effective, more than Harley Street. Um, uh,
Absolutely.
but we have like Dr. Zulfi, who's actually specializing in regenerative medicine and longevity. So he monitors you really well all the time whilst you've got the drip, and then he follows you up afterwards as well, asking how you're doing. And usually people find that they're just awake. They haven't felt this awake for a very, very long time. So that's how it works.
Okay, activates you. And definitely, I think that there's a great point that you made about absorption, because
Mm.
it's what you absorb into the body that you will feel the benefits of. I was watching something yesterday about um, obesity, and
Mm-hmm.
in the UK, do you know that we are the second obese nation in the world?
Yeah.
And it was America who was number one, and now we are number two, which is nothing to be proud of. Why are we getting obese? That's the first thing. And what do you think is the first point of call for us to reduce our weight? Why this epidemic?
So that's a really good question. So, like you said, obesity has increased two, threefold in the country since even like 10 years ago. And especially childhood obesity is profound in this country, in the UK overall. But not just here, but if you even look in the Middle East, there are the children, overall childhood obesity has massively increased across the board.
Abby, I would say that I've been to the Middle East, and when I was living there, they actually were really pushing health, wellness, and especially young children, because they knew that this epidemic was about to occur. There's so many things that they've put into place to combat that. So they do
Absolutely.
recognize that. And something with Dubai is that they know something, they learn something, and they'll try and fix it
And they
straight
do it.
away. I'm not sure, obviously, after 5 years, but however, that completely is true. But we're going downhill.
We are. And even though the government has put lots of taxes on different kinds of fatty, sugary foods and things, it's still not combating it. The main thing is, even if you tax certain types of food, people are still going to flock to it because it's so addictive. There is an addiction. Also, I believe that the environment counts. There's in my practice, there are so many patients who come to me and they are relying on food for comfort. It's a form of control when they cannot control what's happening outside in their lives. And that's a difficult one. That is a really, because when there's so much stress within a country, we've got lots of political issues, lots of environmental issues, and then the processing of our food. Most people do not, because fresh food, organic food is expensive. And when we go out, it is
It
very, very
is.
expensive. So even vegetables that are, pesticide free are much more expensive than the vegetables that you just get over, in the supermarkets, because they have pesticides that can actually affect your hormone levels, your estrogen levels. There are lots of, not just with obesity, there are lots of women I've known who are now getting into their menopause a lot earlier than people who, like my mother's age, who were getting it in their late 50s and now they're getting it in their late 30s. So there has been a huge change, and it's actually because of everything that we eat, everything that we breathe in, the toxins, the heavy metals. Um, there's usually sometimes mold in our bodies because of the foods that we have taken, and that causes inflammation, metabolic imbalance, and then obesity.
So if we take that, nutrition is the most important factor for a healthy body.
Yes, it is, but also genetics. We are of Southeast Asian origin, and we are more prone to
Are we born
certain.
fat? Are
Well,
we born fat?
well, we are more susceptible, let's say, to
Yes.
certain,
Okay.
there are certain genes that can actually activate because of our environment and things. It's called epigenetics. And because of that, so we
Yeah.
have a lower threshold of getting diseases like diabetes and also obesity, because of our genetics as well. But then add on the environment and what we're eating gives you this whole combination of yeah, of what's happening now.
Can you tell me more about metabolic health then? What does it mean and how do we optimize our health?
Sure. So metabolic health is basically everything to do with your metabolism, to your biochemistry, your hormones, even your gut health. It's to do with your hunger hormones, so to do with your insulin, your leptin, your ghrelin. These are all the hunger hormones that help your appetite, suppress your appetite or increase your appetite, and then the storage of fat, the storage of sugar in our body. And all of this, it can become imbalanced in our body because like what I've just explained. Because of that, this causes inflammation in our body, and what also is really important is to look at our gut health alongside our metabolism and what's affecting us. Thing called microbiome in our gut
Yes.
that exists with good, healthy bacteria. Now, because of our environment and the food that we eat, there can be an imbalance of that. Studies are there all the time at the moment, and they're finding all this new wonderful stuff about the microbiome and how it controls, like, even, it's got even more. Our microbiome controls the nerve cells in our body, and it controls our mood, it controls inflammation, everything. And that is also linked to our metabolism. So both of them go hand in hand. If we look at our metabolism, it's really important to also look at our gut health and balance them both. Once we have balanced them, the inflammation all actually resolves. And actually, as a byproduct, because we're eating right for our body, as a byproduct, we lose weight, and it's so important not to just lose weight for the sake of looking thin. It's actually to be healthy, to live longer and better. That's the whole point. This is why we
Absolutely.
started our clinic.
There's healthy weight loss and there's unhealthy weight loss, and you've
Mhm.
got crash diets. And I always find that if anybody, myself, if I've done them, which I'm not very good at, I'm more a healthy lifestyle and exercise. But if I have attempted, I have felt in the past that I've put on the weight and put more
Very
weight on,
quickly. Yeah.
and it just takes more time to take it off. So they say that you should never diet because the first three words of diet means to die, and you don't want to do that. You want to be healthy and living. And I do feel that even with myself, I had a lot of issues going on last year, and you were great support. And one of the things that did come up was inflammation. Now, what are the causes of inflammation? How are they related to the gut directly? And what can we do about it?
If there's any imbalance in the gut microbiome due to our environment, due to the stresses that we have in life, high cortisol levels, they all impact the microbiome. And that actually inadvertently causes inflammation in our body. Okay. Now, how do we measure that? So in clinic, we measure that so there's something called the Metabolic Balance Program that I am a big fan of because I've also done it myself. And it's usually, I take 36 blood markers, very specific to you, which cover your full blood count, your kidney function, liver function, but also your inflammatory markers, something called the ESR and the CRP, which actually are really high during any form of inflammation, whether it's joint inflammation, whether there's an infection, any form of inflammation that you have. And that actually gives me a really good idea of what it could be, and what's happening. And alongside that, I actually check your thyroid levels, your insulin levels. So literally cover everything. And then we also do a stool test to check what your gut's doing, what's happening with your microbiome. Is there fungus? What's growing? What if there's an imbalance of candida? Exactly what's happening. All the results that I get, I usually send off to Germany where they form this. So at the moment, the way that healthcare is happening in the world, it's precision medicine. It's personalized to you. It's not just generic, oh, yeah, I'm going to go on this diet and I'm going to exercise this much. No, because if you are not doing it for your body and what your body is telling you, it doesn't make a difference because you might lose weight for a
Absolutely.
short term, but you will go back to how you are because you haven't acknowledged the root cause of disease. So, like I said, if we get all your numbers and we look at your gut microbiome as well, and then create a plan that is just specific for you, nobody else in the world has it, and then monitor you before and after with the same, doing the same bloods and the same stool test again at the end of 6 months, we will see a huge difference in you overall. Your skin, your hair, your stool, your overall weight. But overall, you will feel so much lighter in yourself, and you will probably increase your biological age for a lot more, so many years.
Wow, that's what we need. That's what we need. But
Absolutely.
living a healthy, long life is what we need. But Tabby, there was a moment in time where I could exercise and diet for 2 weeks and I'd be back to normal.
Yeah.
I would fit back in my clothes. And the other day, a couple of months back, and I looked at myself and I thought, who are you? What's going on here? And thank God the sun's out. We're having a fantastic day. And I am solar powered. But I did think, oh my gosh, I am in my fifth decade, but I still feel so young, and I'm always bouncing around. I'm always on my feet, which my feet were actually killing me. So I did take a pause. But there's sometimes you can't get rid of it, and there's certain places on my body that I'm like, the fat is just refusing to leave. And I came into the clinic as well to see you. Mashallah, fantastic clinic.
It was so
Congratulations
nice
on your
having
new
you.
clinic.
Yeah.
But what would you recommend? Because you've got some really high tech equipment in the
Mhm.
I was going to say in the gym. You've got some quite high tech
It's a low effort
equipment
gym.
in your. It's like a gym, honestly. It's a workout. It's what we do need. We work out without any effort. But
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously, we'll talk about some of the treatment that I had, and I'll
Mhm.
add some of the clips, some of the footage in the video after this. But can you walk us through some things, why that fat isn't going, and why it doesn't, obsessed with us, and how do we how we lose that weight,
Okay.
because that's a stubborn fat,
It is.
that just doesn't want to leave. How do
Okay.
we get rid of that?
Again, we need to know what's happening internally. It has to be precision medicine, and that's the way forward. I will actually just give you an example, a case study, rather than, give you the science and everything behind it. So I had a lovely lady in her mid 40s who was perimenopausal, and she came and saw me. She goes, Tabs, I do everything right. For a year and a half, I have been doing intermittent fasting. I have, I go to the gym, I eat well, everything. Yes, I love cheese, and I sometimes it's okay to have some dark chocolate, isn't it? And I'm like, absolutely, you're doing everything right. She's like, why can't I get rid of this belly fat? It's just stuck, and I've never had it before. And all of a sudden, I just can't seem to lose the weight. So,
That's me.
yeah, no, exactly. And a lot of ladies are in that stage. Once we hit 40 in the
Yeah.
perimenopausal, menopausal stage, our estrogen levels drop, and it's a harder to start and lose weight. And you will find pockets of fat where you never had fat, and stubborn fat. Now, what do we do? Because our metabolism has slowed down. How do we change all that?
Yes.
So there were a number of
Mm.
things that I did with her, and she was really open because she had exhausted everything. And in the media everywhere at the moment, social media especially, everyone does talk about intermittent fasting, and by all means there is science behind it. In Islam, our prophet used to fast on a regular basis to keep healthy as well, and studies have really, and I know that you're a big fan of it as well.
I
However,
do. I love fasting. I do it Mondays and Thursdays. I do it.
Thursdays,
I do it
exactly.
whenever I can.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do. I actually have Ramadan throughout the whole of the year. Like, I don't really stop. I love fasting, and it really
yeah, yeah.
refreshes me. It makes me awake. I feel like I'm people are like, oh, I get really tired when I'm fasting. I actually feel activated. I feel I can think better. I'm just much more alert. It
Because,
really
yeah,
helps me. But
I also think there's a
regarding weight
spiritual,
loss,
yeah. But
yeah.
for you, I personally think there's probably a spiritual element as well, because when we make when we say that we're going to fast, but we're fasting for Allah, or the Almighty, we are then in that zone that we have to behave ourselves, and that also takes, and that actually cleanses our soul as well. So I feel that also helps you, Miriam. I don't know whether but I personally feel there is a
That
link
way.
to it.
Purification. And I feel like every time I do get overwhelmed, what do?
Mm,
The first thing I do is fast. I think the first thing, well, obviously, you pray Salah, but like for me, I go into fasting mode.
yeah,
I feel like I preserve my energy. I feel like I'm preserving my conversations. I'm not having conversations with just anyone and everyone. I'm really being focused. And so for me, if I have to focus, I'll go straight into fasting.
that's amazing.
But you're right. I'm absolutely. It is a spiritual
Yeah,
endeavor
absolutely.
that one takes.
No, absolutely.
And I
And then,
remember actually, let's talk about how a couple of years ago when we did reconnect, uh, you translated this beautiful the translation of Surah Rahman, I think it was,
yeah,
and you would talk about uh, how that actually helps healing. Can you explain about that? Because the way that you explained it was so beautiful. I mean, I fell in
oh,
love with that video.
thank
I
you.
wish that
Yeah,
posting
I've got
again.
to,
It's
I will, inshallah.
amazing.
So, I for everyone who is watching, you don't have to be a Muslim to actually experience this
Yeah.
miracle. So basically, there are studies on sound therapy, or as an alternative complementary therapy for people. So there are certain frequencies that are healing frequencies. So like, people use a tuning fork at certain frequency, and even when you go to the Far East, they use certain instruments to help and get you onto a certain frequency of calm. So similarly, when there's a particular surah in the Quran, when that is recited at a particular frequency, that gives you immense healing, and it has been studied in there's even like I think there was an institute of Surah Rahman where they have done lots and lots of studies. So this scientific is actually on PubMed, which is full of research where doctors go and everyone you can even access it,
Right.
just find any studies related to it, and they've actually found that it doesn't just help with depression. It can help with relaxing your face. It can help with stroke patients. It can help. There was a number of things that it did help with, that they've come to a conclusion, but it was only with that particular reciter that they found the maximum benefit, because it was recited
Oh,
at that
right.
particular
Yes.
frequency. And it was Ghazi
Yes, yes,
Abdul
that's the one.
Basit,
That is
and
it.
he is
Yes.
available on
He
YouTube.
is a beautiful
It's on a
reciter.
different level. It's
Beautiful.
on a different level.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
just
Yeah.
leaves you but then you have to be in that zone, really calm, really listening
Yes.
to it. And they say to do it up
Yeah.
to 3 times a day. It's also helped with coma patients. So,
Wow.
so as Muslims, we believe obviously it's the power of what's being recited, but also the power of the sound that is healing. So,
Yeah.
in both ways, whether you're Muslim or not, you can, use this recitation to help. And it really does help.
Yeah, I actually, when I had COVID, I actually used to pray Surah Rahman, and then that's hence how we've connected, and I found your piece on social media, which I think, whoever says social media isn't great, if you use it for good, good will come.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was just, you need to do that again. It was just Beautiful.
Inshallah.
It was beautifully
Yeah.
articulated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spirituality and faith does take your body to another level, and a healing modality, like where you can feel calm, because your body needs to feel relaxed and calm. Your nervous system needs to feel calm, right? Like your whole
Absolutely.
body, otherwise you're full of cortisol. And I feel the
Absolutely.
same. I feel like, that's why we have our five prayers for you to actually
Yes.
take a break, take a pause, and manifest whatever you want. And it's
I
a
agree.
beautiful way. I mean, I kind of schedule my whole day around my prayers,
Yeah,
and it's just a
same.
wonderful way of doing it.
It is.
So
It is.
anything that helps our healing is a
Yeah.
good thing. Oh
But
gosh, so what happened about the lady? Let's finish the story off.
okay, so she basically, so we decided let's do a DNA test on her to see what's
Right.
exactly going on because, she was doing everything that's right, everything that is textbook, very generic. Like I said, she was doing her intermittent fasting very militantly for the last 1.5 years. She was exercising, going to the gym, eating right. And she just couldn't lose the weight. So we did a DNA test, and it actually showed that her body doesn't respond to fasting. She needs to be
Oh,
eating every 3 to 4 hours for her metabolism to keep going. That's the way she is.
oh,
That's what her blueprint is. The other thing was she was a high protein metabolizer, which meant that she needs a higher amount of protein in order for her metabolism to work and for her to lose weight. The DNA test was so specific, it actually gave her an exercise prescription of how much exercise and exactly what exercise she needs to be doing in a week in order for her to either lose weight or maintain her weight, which was like a game changer for her. And she said to me, "You know what, Tabs? My sister has been doing it since we were born, like literally. And I always used to be like, oh my gosh, she's eating again. She's eating again. And she's still skinnier than me. And so she decided that she wanted to. So basically, I extrapolated everything. It's a big book that comes. So I extrapolated everything. And because with my nutritional knowledge and functional medicine, I managed to make a full plan for her. And, she came to see me and she was 76 kilos in August. She is now 54.5 kilos. And she's had the
gosh.
body sculpting as well. So she's been going to the gym, she's been doing what the DNA test had been asked her to do. But on top of that, so there were small pockets of fat. So she's actually used the Med Contour, and she's had like I think 2 months of the sessions, and she's just now but she's so healthy because she's actually eating for how God had intended her to
Yes,
eat. So
her
it
to
was so
eat,
specific.
absolutely.
And this is for life. So there's no dieting involved because she's eating for her body. That's it. She will never have to diet again. So sometimes, and she also found that cheese does not suit her. And
Mm.
there were things like fatty foods she can eat. It's just fascinating the stuff
Mm.
that it came out with. And she was like, oh my
Wow.
God, yes. Oh my goodness. I never thought of that. Is that related to weight gain? Is that related to weight loss? And it all was
How
linked and it all made sense.
interesting.
And as soon as it all made sense for her, she's lost all the weight, but in a healthy way.
For some reason, I just connected with that because I thought when I've ate a couple of times, like more than I need to, and especially protein, I actually don't put on weight and I feel really good with energy wise. Cheese is a big one. I could removed my sweetness and all the biscuits and the cakes and everything out of my diet for the first 2 months. And then I was eating a lot of cheese, and bread is my weakness. So I was eating that. And so, but I can completely agree because our bodies are bespoke. We're not, nobody
No.
is another
Mhm.
form. So why are we following just random diet?
Because
Can you tell me
yeah,
about something that, we've had the beach diet, we've had keto, we've had Atkins. There's so numerous diets. You can be vegan, but there's a carnivore diet that is out at the
mm,
moment. We're
mm.
just meat eaters. What would you suggest about that? Is that healthy? Is that something we should be doing or not?
See,
Again, I know it's bespoke, but generally, overall, would you find that it's helping weight loss?
again, it's got to be healthy weight loss. It can't just be. The carnivore diet actually relates to how our species, the human race, used to be thousands and thousands and millions of years ago. But then since then, we have evolved.
How can we relate to that diet then?
So that's
Can you hear
exactly
me?
it. Some people, again, it's probably genetics. So they have already, their genes are susceptible and they can work well. But again, everyone is so different. This is why I don't condone any specific diet because it has to be
Right.
personalized. And a diet is a diet. It's not for life. So with me, it's always about being responsible and actually providing the patient or the client who comes with me with a realistic approach that you can maintain for life, that you don't have to rely
Mm,
on these fads like the carnivore diet or beach or this and that. You can then,
mm.
because losing weight, it's so hard. But when you're in the element, it's amazing. And once you reach goal, you
Yeah.
feel like, that's it, I can let go. But if you do, it's normal physiology to gain the weight back again. It's absolutely. But because it's not human if we don't cheat or if we're not allowed. So no food is bad food. This is what I say to my clients, because have the chocolate, have something, but then the next day go back to your DNA, go back to your metabolic balance, go back to what your body actually needs. If you have an off day, we're human, that's fine. Don't feel guilty about it. You've worked so hard. Don't feel. If you feel guilty and then you stop, that's where it gets, you go downhill. But if you feel guilty and you just carry on with the plan again, you'll be fine.
Okay.
That's it.
So let's talk about Mounjaro and Ozempic because I'm so unfamiliar and I'm just like, I don't even have Botox or fillers. And I'm like, oh, I'm all natural. I'm actually just scared of everything. If I'm absolutely honest, I would
You don't
never have
need it.
plastic surgery because I'm so scared. But you never say never. But I've heard these terms so many times of Mounjaro, Ozempic. What can you explain what each one does and how can it benefit it? And should we take it? Because I'm like, I'm not taking anything because I'm like, I don't know what's in it. Will it actually help me, firstly? And is it a waste of money? And does it really work, Tabby? Because that's the main thing. Are these things really working? So please explain Manjaro and
But
Ozempic.
this is like my favorite topic. So I can go
Oh,
on
really?
talking about it. So please
Okay.
stop me if I just
All
start
right.
rambling
Okay.
because there's so much to basically take away. So first of all, you do not need anything. You look so beautiful, even with and
Oh,
without makeup, because I have seen you without it, and you honestly do not need anything. So, and secondly, with
very
terms
kind.
of, you're welcome, but I mean it. And in terms of Manjaro and Ozempic and Wegovy, we've got to treat it like a medicine, a prescription only medicine, which it is. We're talking about a medication. We wouldn't necessarily talk about blood pressure medication the way everyone talks about Ozempic and
Yeah.
Wegovy and everything. So first of all, we just need to make sure everybody realizes that this is actually a medication.
Right.
There is science behind it, but it cannot be taken by just everyone. There are guidelines for it, and as doctors, the guidelines are there for a certain reason, just so that you know people do not get unwell with them, and we monitor them. It has to be
Mhm.
monitored. So at the moment, it is a bit scary for me as a doctor who has been prescribing these for 5 years, because I am certified to prescribe them. GPs are not certified. I have actually taken exams, so this medication, there's not a lot that people know about it. I am actually even
Right.
introducing my own course for doctors in order to actually help them prescribe it. So, and I've done many
Excellent.
master classes on Manjaro to help, because I see lots of people on forums discussing, oh, I've got the discount code for Manjaro, I've got the discount code for Wegovy, and it's scary
Oh.
because people are just going for the cheapest. But then what happens is, like you said, is it a waste of money? So first of all, let me go back.
What's in it? What? Yeah.
Yes, so I'm going to
Explain
go
what
back
is
to
it and
that.
what's in
Yes, so I'm going to
it. Okay.
explain. So first of all, both Ozempic and Wegovy and Mounjaro are from the same class of drugs. They are called GLP-1 analogs. Now, what is GLP? GLP-1 is basically a hormone that already exists in our body. It works
Okay.
simultaneously with the insulin, with the leptin, with the ghrelin. These are all our hunger hormones, and they actually, balance each other out, and they control our appetite. Okay. Now, in our body, the actual GLP-1 that is released only lasts around 4 minutes or something like that. Therefore, we need a synthetic GLP that lasts a lot longer in our body, and it's not broken down in 4 minutes. And this is exactly what Wegovy and Mounjaro do. They are synthetic forms of this hormone that we have in our body, but they basically last a lot longer in our body.
Right. Got
So
you.
therefore, their
Got it.
effect of appetite suppressant factors, fat metabolism,
Mm.
everything, lasts a lot longer in our body. So they have existed. These are
Brilliant.
not new drugs. The compound
Okay.
GLP-1
Okay.
synthetic, yeah, they have been around for about 25, 30 years. I remember back in year
Okay.
2000 when I was a pharmacy student, because I'm by profession a dual professional. So I've got a master's in pharmacy and I'm a doctor as well, a medical doctor. So, I remember back
Okay.
ages ago, you chose my age, 25 years ago, when I was a really young pharmacy student, there were a lot of people being prescribed something called exenatide. It was a new injection being used by
Mm.
obese diabetes patients, and it was being injected, and I was like, wow, it helps you lose weight. But then, 20 years on, during COVID time, people caught on, Hollywood caught on that, oh my goodness, this drug that
Yeah.
actually helps you lose weight, balance your blood sugars, and it suppresses your appetite. Oh my goodness. So they all started using it, but it has been prescribed for diabetes for the last 25 years. And as you know, with the pharmaceutical
Right.
companies, newer and better drugs of the same compound are being made all the time. As we speak, there are newer drugs coming into our market. They're in trials. In America, there's something called retatrutide that's about to come out, and it'll probably come out in the UK end of next year or a year after, because the licensing here, there's lots of red tape in the UK. So it has to go through a lot of clinical trials in order for it to be safe for us to use.
Okay.
So therefore, when I say, these drugs have been around, they have been around for a long time. So if there was anything
Right.
that was to be lethal, it would have hopefully have come out in the
Mm.
last 25 years. Yes, there are
Right.
contraindications
Okay.
to the medication. There is, if you've already
Mhm.
had pancreatitis or gallstones in the past, it can make it worse. If you are already
Mm.
taking a form of HRT, there's a study that's just come out 2 weeks ago. If you are on a form of HRT or even on the contraceptive hormone, it can reduce its effectiveness. So then we say, actually, you
Okay.
need to go back and see your GP and increase the amount that you're on, or, things like that. So
Mm.
again, this is why you need a doctor with you to support you with it. So
Yeah.
we usually start off with the lowest dose possible and then work our way up. The pharmacies online, they have a protocol. They say, right, first month 2.5, second month 5, you're working your way up. But what if you have a lot of
Right.
weight to lose?
Gradually. Increments.
Exactly. What if you have a lot of weight to lose and you're already at the highest, strength? Where do you go from
Mm.
there? So, there's
Mm.
no point in that. The whole key is to have a qualified doctor who can support you. So, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Monitor it.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And my patients have me on WhatsApp, literally, even on the weekend. If they've got a
Yeah.
side effect, if they've got anything, within 24 hours, I reply back to them. You don't really get a specialist who does that. So because I love
Yeah.
what I do, I am able to guide them
Yeah.
effectively. And so that's where it comes from, and I hope that I've clarified it. Now, a study that has literally, it's all over social media today, but I had actually spoken about it a week ago, is there's something called the Surah Rahman trial, and that has revealed that Mounjaro is second line to bariatric surgery in terms of its results. So, Mounjaro, yes. So There was a study that looked at around, I think, was it 72 weeks or 68 weeks, something like that, of patients post surgery and post Manjaro and post Wegovy, and they found that with bariatric surgery, patients lost around 24 to 25% of weight over that 672 weeks. Manjaro was around
Wow.
22%. Wegovy was 15 to 17%.
Okay.
Manjaro has a better side effect profile.
Better.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, everyone reacts so differently to these drugs. I can't say you're going to get
Yeah.
this. Some people get loads of side
Yeah.
effects, even in the lowest dose, but some people don't get any side effects, even on the highest dose. And it just surprises me every time. I feel that
Yeah.
if you are eligible for it, if that, because I'm treating patients who are clinically obese, who are on the waiting list for, bariatric surgery. They don't want it. They want to have something that takes away that food noise and stuff. It really helps.
Yes.
I have helped patients who are 150 kilos to get down to 120, 110 kilos. But there is a lot of monitoring.
Wonderful.
There's a lot of work related to why you have that food noise in the first place. If you don't
Yes.
work on yourself while you're on the Manjaro, once you stop Manjaro, you're going to get that because there is a super hunger that comes back if you stop it abruptly.
Mhm.
That's another thing. Therefore, you need a
Right.
trained professional to help you wean yourself down and to up your
We know.
nutrition
Yeah.
uptake. This is why the
Yeah.
DNA test or something called Alavir that I'm a doctor for, or even the metabolic balance is perfect because of Manjaro, even if you take it for a short time, if you're eligible, obviously, you do that, but you
Mhm.
also do either the metabolic balance or the Alavir program or the DNA test. You are eating the right way for your body. So when we do wean you off,
Right.
you don't need it anymore. You can just live your life and that's it.
Mhm.
There's no diet involved. That's it.
Yeah, I think because it's also you're adding a drug, so you'd have to wean yourself of it. It's like any addict, I guess, and going cold turkey would have had major side effects. So
It does. It does.
absolutely, I think what it means is that you really have to know your body. You have to understand what your body is like, and you should be able to communicate with your body. I think it's not just the doctor who actually is instigating everything. I think one should also understand what they are like. Because I knew my plantar fasciitis, I wasn't walking, I was it's inflammation, it's this, and I was like, there's lots of things going on, but like I know who I am. I like know what my body,
Mhm.
if I eat this or if I don't exercise or if I don't go out, I'm not. There's a lot of factors that are involved. So you're right. I think understanding yourself it's a
Have to.
journey, isn't it? You've got to know who you are and
Absolutely.
your body's what you live in. You really you can look after this place here.
Yeah.
So let's go through the equipment that you have in the clinic and what each piece of equipment does and how it can benefit weight loss.
Sure. So the equipment that I have, I've got something called the InBody. Now, the InBody is this really, really super expensive machine. So, the bathroom scales that we have, everyone has. I never knew
Hmm.
this, but it's until I bought, I got into the obesity, sector and I started finding out about all this equipment. I didn't know that the bathroom scales were not giving you the results in real time. So in the morning when you get
Okay.
onto those scales, they're giving you
Hmm.
an approximation of how much fat, how much muscle, water you actually have in your
Yeah.
body, because it's comparing it to the normal distribution of the population. Whereas this in body that I have is actually real time at the time when that you come and see me. It's breaking everything down to the minutiae. And it actually gives me a really good idea of what's happening in your body because there is a science behind it. So whether you're doing whatever program you're doing with me and whether you're doing the Manjaro, it just gives me an idea. Similarly, like there was a lady who just chose to do Manjaro with myself, although I did guide her on, you know, a certain program would be really helpful for her, and she just wanted to just do the Manjaro, and she said, you know what, this is too easy, and she carried on eating, less than what she did, but she was going out and everything. She lost a lot of weight, but
Mm.
when we measured her at the end, when she reached her goal, her body fat percentage was 45%. Now,
Oh,
that's huge. And I thought,
what should it be? What should it be? What should a
20 to
good
22%. So, and she had
so
muscle
say
wasting, so she had a very low muscle. So I did say to her, listen, if there is a reason why you have a nutritionist. So why, because I've got a background of nutrition as well. So there is a reason why I am able to look at your results and tell you exactly what kind of foods you need to eat with that. So this is why the in-body is so, so important. When patients come and
Mm.
see me, I get to see, you're not just skinny, whether you're a healthy skinny or unhealthy
Yeah,
skinny,
yeah,
So the
you're
more,
right. Skinny doesn't mean
it
healthy
doesn't
at
mean
all,
anything.
does it? Like
Doesn't
I've
mean
seen a lot of
anything.
skinny people that are so like obviously I've never been like super, super skinny, but like I've always been really active, like stamina and strength. Like that was my power, but I've never been skinny, skinny. So skinny doesn't mean
No.
that you're automatically like, healthy. Absolutely
Exactly,
not.
exactly. So the other two machines that I have are to do with body
So
sculpting.
can I just tell me, so
Sure.
what does the in body, it's just basically you step on the scales and that's it, you get a reading of
Yeah, yeah.
everything,
So you basically have to be barefoot, and there are lots of
right?
electrodes. I don't know, do you remember there were lots of silver electrodes
No, we never
on the
did it
soles?
that day.
Oh,
I'm
we
so
should have done
gutted.
it.
Like
Yes, it is.
yeah, we should
I,
have done it. I think we got so carried away with like all the other stuff. It's like,
yeah,
oh, we
yeah,
forgot
yeah.
about it.
Yeah, no, no.
So
We
yeah,
can,
next
yeah,
time.
absolutely. So just to let you, so if any patients were interested, if they do the Mounjaro any program with me, they get this done weekly
Right.
free. Otherwise, if people, because this is available in some gyms as well, because it's so specific,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
if they want it otherwise, sometimes personal trainers want it as well. So we charge 50
Right.
pounds per time they come
Right.
on the scale.
Okay.
So, it
Right.
is something definitely worth. And then I usually give you a full report as well of your
Right.
breakdown.
Right.
So it's definitely worth
I
it.
think that's brilliant because, like, I feel like that's the kind of the foundation, like the basis of everything. Like, that's such a good reading, the
Yeah,
indicators of everything. So,
everything. Yeah.
something that I
And
think everybody, I
even
need
how
that.
much
I'm
water
putting
is
it
in
together.
your cells, even how much water is in your cells. So if you're dehydrated and everything, it's brilliant. So then coming back to the body sculpting machines that you saw,
The
literally.
second one, yeah,
The
yes,
second one and the
yes,
third one. So I have three. So basically, I have one full treatment room that is called my weight loss room, fat loss room. And then my
yeah.
husband has another room that I'm not allowed into because it's all his surgical stuff going on and aesthetics and regenerative medicine. So I'm like, okay, we've got to be more aseptic and all that. So anyway, coming back to my favorite room, my room. So in it, we've got the Med Contour machine, which is actually an ultrasound machine. It is on the principles of ultrasound cavitation, but it's like the latest stuff. So basically, what it
Mm-hmm.
does, so any excess fat that you have is usually called the subcutaneous fat. And it's usually the top layer of the fat that you have. So like the muffin tops and the bingo wings that they say, and the back fat and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So this Medcorn tool actually works on that and cellulite. So if you've got, and it works on two A4 side areas at a time. And we usually do around up to 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how much your body tolerates. And you
Mm-hmm.
see results within the first session. And then it carries on. But the thing is, in order to see the best results, you would need at least a month full of sessions or 4 sessions or however, just to get to what sculpting you want. And how it works, it actually gets to a temperature of above 40 where it permanently like dissolves the fat, and the fat gets rid of and is sucked out literally. So it has a suction mode as well. So although I'm actually, it feels like I'm not really doing much, I'm actually literally killing those fat cells permanently, and it actually works like liposuction. It is permanent. So unless you eat,
So
bad.
permanent liposuction that will dissolve and melt away your fat.
Yeah,
Like that's just so unreal, isn't it?
yeah,
Like that's
it is.
just so like that's just perfect.
Yeah,
Like
it is.
that's
It is.
perfect.
It is. And I've noticed some girls, younger in their 20s, who have come to me who don't really want to
Yeah.
go to the gym, things like that. They've lost 10 centimeters in their first session. I'm like, wow, you know. Whereas people like me, I have a lot of stubborn fat, so I'd probably lose a centimeter
Yes.
or 2 centimeters. But even that, you know, when you've had a really bad week and, you know, people come for a session, it's like, you know, they're
Yes.
completely relaxed. It is really relaxing, and you know, and I know exactly what frequency, looking at the amount of fat you have and where it is, of what frequency to use, and and you do feel really comfortable with it. If you are not, then I usually lower the frequency further. But you know, and you know, and then you go away, like literally there's no downtime, and you feel like, wow, you know, I feel a little better. I have lost some fat, you know, even if it's a few centimeters. So that's amazing.
Absolutely. I actually loved it. It was like if you just gave me a hug. It was like a hug for
Oh,
20
that's
minutes. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And you've got a really great technique. You know, I
oh, thank
don't really
you.
like a lot of even body massages. And I'm really particular, but you've got a good technique and I really loved it. I felt like it was really relaxing. I felt really calm and I could have dozed off if you weren't talking to me.
Oh,
I was
yeah, yeah.
really good.
But yeah,
And it was
no,
just nice. It was nice heat. Yeah, it
yes,
was a nice
yeah.
temperature as well. It did
Because
get a little bit hot at the end, I told you,
yeah,
and you
it does. You
adjusted it.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I've been trained by a weight loss therapist who, so these machines are actually from Italy. So, you know, they are literally state of the art, and they are used perfectly alongside my aloe vera program that is part of the body
Mm,
sculpting as well package.
yeah.
So, and then the other machine I have
Final one?
is the final one, is the LPG endermology body endermology machine. Now this is literally like a
What
lymphatic
does that
drain.
mean?
Okay,
What
so
does
that's
that
what I'm going
mean?
to say. So LPG, please don't ask me to actually say the whole word. It's actually French, and it's by the French, and it's named
Okay.
after the French scientist who designed
Uh-huh.
it, basically. And there's lots of
Okay.
papers on both machines. So they're all evidence-based, you know, backed up by science. So there's nothing that is
Mm,
just like, you know, you're coming to a spa or something. This is all pure
yeah.
science-based, so they work.
Okay.
And basically, the LPG machine is where I get you to wear a bodysuit, that we order a bodysuit for you, and that
Okay.
actually you wear, you get changed, and then I come in and I get you to lie down first on your front. So I've got access to your back. And what it is, there
Mm,
is it's a machine with certain, how do I say? Yeah, there's certain powers on it. And it's attached to a roller and a suction. And I
okay.
actually roll it in a certain way on your area, on all over your body except for your up to here, basically in such a way that it actually gives you a lymphatic drainage and a deep tissue massage in all your
Nice.
muscles everywhere. It reduces cellulite, it lifts your buttocks, so you get this buttock
Oh.
lift. Yeah, it tightens your basically bicep tricep area. It
Mhm.
tightens and sculpts your body. So it sculpts your body and induces collagen. So ideally what it's supposed to be like, it works alongside the ultrasound. So as you're losing weight every week, what the best results are for patients of mine who have come in, they you know, sometimes even if they've been going to the gym, they can't lose that excess body of fat. I use
Yes.
the Med Contour ultrasound for those areas every week, but then I do an overall sculpting. So I tighten everything up and lift things that need to be lifted. And you're basically, as you're losing the weight every week, people can get loose skin. So what it does,
All
because it's
right.
inducing collagen, it's tightening the skin. So every week, you're
Mm.
just literally, as you're losing fat, you're tightening the skin. You're tightening the skin. So
Okay.
therefore,
Okay.
people are going to look toned
Mm.
after the sessions. So
Right.
you know,
Right.
it's not. Yeah, this is why it's that good. It's really really good.
Wow. That sounds amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yes, it is amazing.
I'm going to try them one by one. Okay, so we are going for a treatment, and
This is the ultrasound cavitation.
yeah,
And it's basically, it works like liposuction does.
okay,
So it dissolves your fat, permanent removal of fat cells.
okay, great. So now here comes.
But it's non-invasive.
Okay,
So we work on two A4 side areas of the tummy. And we usually apply this oil on the area
magic
first.
oil.
It was
Disappearing
hopefully, yeah. And we need to get the fat cells to a temperature of above 40 degrees
Right.
in order for it to kill them.
Okay.
Okay. So that's what we're doing.
All right. Brilliant.
So you might feel a little bit of heat,
Okay.
but that is completely normal.
Right.
And
Not
usually,
burning, just a heat
yeah,
sensation.
yeah. No burning.
Yeah.
You shouldn't really feel a burn.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 So it's just so Tabby's just doing my stomach area. Like,
Yeah.
around, like above the
This all
belly
subcutaneous
button.
fat area, whatever it is, it's not that much anyway. So just going to start on the lowest frequency so it doesn't hurt.
Yeah. How long are these? Like, how long does this take? How long is the session?
So 10 minutes in each area.
Oh, okay.
And then so 20 minutes and that's it, and there's no
Oh,
downtime
wow.
at all. But we usually complement with that, but that takes a lot longer.
Yeah.
So that, and then you need to go and get a bodysuit for that, measure up for it. So yeah. So that's usually, we say up to 40 minutes to an hour treatment.
Okay. So just you're rolling this machine just
Yes.
over my stomach
That's
area.
it, really. And then we wait until it
So are
gets
you literally
to
just melting my fat?
Yep.
I love you.
Literally melting your fat.
Yes.
And it is the latest stuff.
After this session, do I get an instant kind of
Hopefully.
understanding of if there's anything change in my body? Like, can I see?
So after you
Will I
see,
feel?
so usually there's a centimeter loss.
Right, okay.
An insulin, and then it keeps working for the next week or so.
Right.
But you need to have obviously a healthy eating plan.
Of course.
And drink lots and lots of water to get
Right.
rid of all those
Or
fat
toxins,
cells.
yeah. So you can't obviously keep on your same lifestyle and then
No.
pretend,
Then there's
you
no
know,
point.
use this.
Yeah,
there's no
yeah,
point. So
no.
you have to
But
be.
this does definitely, kill
Yeah.
the excess.
Yeah.
That
Well,
is there.
that feels so nice.
Really?
Yes, I'm loving it. It's just so nice and warm, and it's just like a rolling hug. Yes, it's like, oh my god, I just need some hugs. It's just like,
Aw,
it's
that's so
lovely.
nice.
It's so, and I just think you've got a good technique. You know what?
Oh,
किसी के
thank
हाथ
you.
में भी होता है. You know that.
Thank
Tabby?
you. बस
I
पहले
think-
इंचेस भी आके लूज होना तो फिर मुझे अच्छा लगेगा.
फिर मजा आए ना.
Yeah, I would love that.
Exactly.
Then I know that it's like,
So
men
this
is
is
the
visible, and it's visible straight after your.
This is the thing,
Yeah.
that this is what I love because it's like instant. With other treatments that
Yeah.
you do get, they take ages and you just,
Yeah.
you have to wait for results.
Yes.
At least with this, you do get an instant result, but you have to have sessions until you are 100% satisfied.
How much do you ideally think for a good, like, I know it's individual, but how many would you recommend? Like,
For young, it depends on our age. So
Yeah.
somebody like me who's
Yeah.
perimenopausal,
Yeah.
my weight and my fat has been stuck there for years.
Yes.
So it's going to take a lot longer for it to completely go.
Right,
Whereas for a 21-year-old, like I
Yeah.
told you, I gave an example. She had a similar belly to me,
right?
but she had an instant 10 centimeter loss.
Why would that be?
Because she's
It's
young
genes,
and she's
yeah,
in genetics
yes,
as well,
yeah.
and she's on a healthy.
So it's
eating.
harder to melt the fat if it's stubborn. The
This
older
is
you get,
through what I have found.
right? So the
okay?
older you get, it gets.
The older
yeah.
I feel.
Yeah.
And so basically, I mean, for somebody who's got I don't think you've got that much.
It's tickling me. I think
is it?
It's getting
Is it getting
hotter.
too hot?
Yeah. It's I was like, is it tickling me? But it's getting a little bit hot now. Yeah.
It's meant to. Yep, 43. So we know that this area has killed
Oh,
the.
really? So hold on. Show me that machine. What is
So
this? So
it's
you
just a
just.
thermometer. It's an
Oh,
infrared
right. Oh,
thermometer.
so you just zapped at me to find out the temperature. The temperature is 43. And is that the temperature we need?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Above 40.
Oh, wow.
And we
Excellent.
know that it's killing it.
Excellent.
It's definitely working.
Okay, so yeah, because it was feeling tingly, and I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's not gonna,
Yeah.
it's not going to burn my.
No, no,
Yeah,
no.
it's just that.
But you just feel मैं आपको थोड़ा सा lower कर देती हूँ.
Oh, so it was feeling that it was just getting a little bit hotter. So I think when you're having treatment, you should definitely have good communication with the person who's actually
Absolutely.
right.
This
I
is
always
what-
feel, because as a makeup artist, when we are always when you're styling, you have to communicate
Yeah,
your
you need to
likes, your
to try and make comfortable,
and exactly.
absolutely.
It's that you have to build that relationship, and I think that
Okay, आपका तो हो गया है. Like it's got quite red.
But
and I can tell.
मैं.
Abhi, I want to do another 10 minutes and then we'll
Yeah.
be done, inshallah.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, so Tabby's just measured me, and so I've gone from, I've lost 3 centimeters. And so if I want to continue this journey and I really want to, like see vast results, like how often should I see you? And
Weekly.
Weekly?
Weekly is ideal.
Okay.
Or maximum fortnightly.
Okay.
But in order for it to work properly, so that we've got a constant
right. So this means the reason why it should be weekly, because you want to get the cells or get the machine.
Basically, आपके fat cells को melt कर रहा है.
So if we leave it longer, it's not gonna. It'll go back to normal again.
It doesn't go back to normal, but the other fat cells keep coming in its place.
Right.
So we just need
so they'll replenish.
Yeah. So we need to.
Oh, okay.
So the ones, in order to kill all of them,
yeah,
you need a weekly.
Right.
Weekly. It has to be weekly.
Okay. Wow.
And then this body sculpt, you need it with that. इसके साथ अगर मैं और करती ना पेट को, तो आपका proper और loss हो जाता.
जब मेरी शादी होगी ना तो फिर.
Inshallah.
I guess what everybody wants is a sculpted body. They want to be healthy and they want to be fit. It's non-invasive, which I love.
Yes.
Like, who wants to go under the knife and go through all of that? And with that comes a lot of downtime. And I don't think with these treatments there's downtime.
There's no downtime. So I've actually used these treatments for my own before I got married. So I had 3 months from the time I got engaged. Literally, from the time I got engaged to the time I was getting married. Like I got engaged in June and I was getting married in August, so less than that, 2 months literally, and I was in shock. I didn't even know that I was going to get married. So and I had a lot of weight to lose, so I went on, and at that time there was no such thing as Mounjaro and things, but there was a program called Alavere, which is it's a medically supervised program that you need a doctor for, which I do now, and I can vouch for it. It's so safe, and you lose weight really fast but effectively, and you maintain it. But alongside that, you use these body sculpting machines, and I managed to get, I lose 21 kilos within those months, and actually sculpt and actually get on those Pakistani designer clothes on that are so heavy, 15 kilos. And, I would have been, if I was wearing those clothes at the time of my engagement, I would have been so breathless, so tired, and I would have looked horrible and everything coming out. Whereas on my wedding day, I felt so comfortable, and like I didn't feel bloated. I actually enjoyed our wedding food because I felt good. I felt really healthy inside, and and this is what brides need to be. They need to be healthy. Because if you are healthy from the inside, it shows.
I'm saying but yeah, I think this is the perfect time when it's your special day. It's it is your day, and you will be photographed, and it's a memory for life.
Absolutely.
Isn't it? You're gonna get photographed, you're gonna be in videos. You want it for yourself more than anything else, so
Exactly.
it's a good.
Absolutely.
Is there anything that you'd like to leave the audience with listening? Any healthy tip or anything that you feel that we would need in our weight loss journey?
Yeah. Absolutely. First of all, I just wanted to thank you for giving me the platform. You're just a gem, and thank you so much. Secondly, the whole reason why I became a doctor was so that I can actually reach the people who need to be reached. People get scared with going to private doctors because they think that we're going to rip you off. Believe me, this is not why we started our clinic. Our prices are very reasonable compared to Dubai and Harley Street and America. So we are very, very reasonable. And remember, you are investing in your health so that you live longer and better. So there are lots and lots of things that we can do. First of all, live in the moment. There are lots of people who are worrying about what's going to happen in the future, but we don't know what's going to and they forget to actually live in the moment, to live and look at our blessings that we actually have, and that is the number one key for anything we do, especially even weight loss, because the more we worry, the more our cortisol levels increase, the more we don't sleep, the more that impacts our weight even further. Our stress levels increase, like our spiritual health, our inflammation in our body, everything goes haywire. So my one takeaway is, we're all into the longevity medicine space at the moment. Everyone on Netflix, social media is talking about it. The number one thing that you can do at the moment is, and it's not easy, especially because, if you've got that mindset and you've had trauma throughout your life, it's really not easy to just be like, oh, yeah, 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 I'm going to live for the moment. Absolutely not. However, start now. Start training yourself, do breathing exercises. Miriam, actually, did you know where does the fat go when you lose fat? When you lose
Yeah,
weight,
where
where
does
does it
it
go?
go? I'm not sure. Where does it go? I'd like to know.
Most doctors don't even know. So half of it actually, so the fat is actually triglycerides, and what happens? It actually gets broken down into through our urine. So like how your fat cells go through the
Yes,
lymphatic
yes,
system and it gets broken
yes.
down, goes through the urine, but we breathe it out. We breathe all the excess fat that we're losing out. So if are not breathing properly, you are keeping everything in. And it also, there's a psychological element, so it's so necessarily to do have the right breathing exercises, to not just do shallow breathing like we do when we're anxious. There, breathe properly, and this is it, increase your lung capacity, go out. There's lots of grounding. The more you look at nature, the more, and this is not airy fairy stuff that I'm talking about. It is backed by science. It is so important.
Yeah.
So that those are the key messages. Try and live for the moment, reduce your stress levels, because these things are
Mhm.
free. Try and do, try and improve your breathing, because that will also help, get all that, and all whatever excess waste that you have that you need to breathe out, you can get it that breathe, take out. And yeah, and just, and if you've got any other issues, come and see me.
She is absolutely the best. I mean, the best advice and so caring and
Thank
really,
you.
really pays attention. She's got the best heart. And I think
Oh,
doctors don't have hearts when we know
oh,
of, but certain people that care about really what they love and what they love to do. And Tabby is one of them. I
I love
absolutely
it. I'm
vouch for
so
it.
blessed to have that. Honestly, with my facial paralysis journey,
Can you explain what it is and, what happened?
yeah, sure. It was definitely a life-changing moment. Basically, it was back in 2017. I was married. I had an 18-month-old daughter at the time, and I was completing my general practice training, for which I only had 3 months left. So
Mm.
I had been on a night shift, that was, and my husband and my daughter came to collect me. But that morning when they came to collect me from work, I had the most worst migraine of my life. It was so, so bad. And that lasted about a whole week. After it lasted for a week, I was still carrying on with everything that I was doing. But then, day 8, I woke up with my left hand being really heavy, And I still carried on because my husband, being a spinal surgeon, he examined me. He's like, "Oh, I think you've just slept funny." I'm like, "Okay." And even my boss at the time, who was the doctor for the Watford football team, he actually was like, "Tabs, yeah, I think Zulfi's right. You've just slept funny," because it was painful there. I was like, "Okay." So I carried on. I saw patients and everything. The next morning, I woke up with numbness and tingling around my mouth. I was like, I don't know what's going on. This is
Right.
so weird. And my mom was like, you know what? We've got stroke in our family. You've got to go and see a doctor.
Yeah.
And doctors are like the worst people. They never ever go and see a doctor because they're like, I'm a doctor. I know what I'm doing.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Yeah.
but actually that very night we were out for a dinner and I couldn't find, and I felt like a huge brain fog. Although my husband and my daughter were walking just ahead of me, I felt really lost in time. I didn't know where I was.
Right.
Yeah, and it was, we got home and from dinner, and at 1 o'clock in the morning, when I was literally brushing my teeth, I saw literally my face fell. It went like that, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm having a stroke. This is it. I have missed all the signs. My mom was right. Oh my goodness, what's happening? And came to see, I showed my husband and he was like, oh no, I've missed it. He was feeling guilty. My blood pressure was super high when the ambulance came. And my mum came to look after my daughter while my husband came with me. And, at that very time, I said, Allah, my daughter is too young to live without her mother. That's all. I didn't care about the face. I didn't care about anything because at that time my daughter was too young to live without her mother. And there were lots of things that led me to becoming like this. There was a lot of stress. My daughter had been poorly for so long. She was under a blood specialist, a hematologist. So that was an added pressure being a mum, you know there was lots of issues because of that, and I think that took a toll, along with my GP training, having to finish, all the expectations from me being a doctor.
Yeah.
So that was a difficult moment in time. And then you know they first thought I had something called Bell's palsy because I got my CT done. They ruled out a stroke, and then they thought, oh, you've got Bell's
Oh,
palsy. Yeah. So
okay.
it's something called lakwa in Urdu. And
Yes, I know. Yeah.
yeah, so but just to be on the safe side, there's something else that can cause facial paralysis, which is the second most common cause, and is shingles of the facial nerve. So basically,
Right.
when we get chickenpox as a child, the actual chickenpox virus doesn't go away. It actually then lies dormant on one of our nerves. And when we grow
Right.
older, when we mature and we feel under stress, that then gets activated. So it can actually activate on the back or anywhere in the body where where it was on the nerve cells. And mine got activated on the facial nerve that goes from the brain to the muscles of the face. Because of that,
Oh,
I had an MRI done. There was lots and lots of swelling. They found a vesicle in my ear, and I was on high dose steroids, and I was
mm,
very poorly for about 2 years because it is a severe form of shingles.
yes.
And I kept on getting further, it would start healing, but then I would get another attack of the vesicle in my ear
Right.
and it would go down further. Every month it was
Oh
like this for
gosh.
about 2 years. And then I felt like, hang on, if I'm experiencing this as a doctor and not much was known about it, because both my husband and I were
Yeah.
literally fighting our case. We were going to every private doctor, everyone available.
Mm,
There were no clear guidelines. I was like, what about other
mm,
patients? What about people in Southeast Asia? What about Pakistan, India, Bangladesh? What's happening there? And so then I was like, there's a reason why, without sounding arrogant, I wasn't being arrogant, but I felt like there's a reason why, Allah, I have got this. There's always a reason,
chosen you.
stress and everything, but what
Yes.
can I do? to help others with this
Yes.
while I'm going through the journey. And this is why, for
Mm.
someone who used to really take care of myself, like the smile,
Yeah.
the makeup, the clothes, the styling, the designer, everything, I went the complete opposite. And for me, it was such a big thing to
Mm.
actually show my face on social media with the paralysis, losing my smile, being scared of how people will, what my image will be. But this actually healed me. I created a page on facial palsy. It was actually for credibility. It was actually for creating awareness, not just for patients and people who have facial palsy, but for the doctors, for my GP friends,
Mm.
and to provide guidelines.
Right.
And it was amazing, Mariam, because there have been several
Wow.
GP friends of mine now who, if they see a
Yeah.
palsy, they know that they have to check for Ramsay Hunt syndrome, which it is shingles. They'll look inside the ear.
Right.
They will start you on the right medication within 72 hours, because if you don't, then you
Wow.
can
It's
get permanent
amazing.
damaging. And I feel so blessed because even if that one
Yes.
doctor is,
Has
knows what to look out for, that can save that patient's face for life. And for me, that is
absolutely.
amazing. And it took a lot out of me to come on social media because I was never that type. Then what was really amazing was people from Pakistan, people from India, Sri Lanka, South Africa, they started contacting me, and not just from the UK. And they were like, "What, save my face, what shall we do?" Because again, like with Manjaro, there's so many
Yes.
scare stories that people hear. There were lots of people who just didn't
Mm.
want to start steroids. They were like, "Oh, we're going to get fat, we're going to get this, we're going to get these side effects. My daughter's not married." And there were so many
Yeah.
stereotypes about having facial paralysis. Oh my gosh, are you cursed?
Mm.
You know, like, don't see the mirror for
Absolutely.
30 days. Oh, how is she going to
Mm.
get
My
married? Don't
God.
tell anyone about her. Keep her in the house.
Yeah.
I have seen
Yeah.
I've heard so many stories, and it
Mm.
was, at least through my page, through my lived experience, I was able to help these people. And then I was like, okay, I've been so unwell for a really long time. I've got a really small daughter. I need to show her that I need to get out of this. Yes, my face,
Yeah.
has changed considerably. It's not the face that I had, but I need to show her that it's not all about looks. It's about who you are as a human. It's about your self-image. It's about how you portray yourself and how you treat other people. And because of that, I looked into gut health and I did the metabolic balance. And I got
Yes.
off, believe me, in 6 months, I was off all my medication. I was on high dose steroids. I had all the steroid side
Wow.
effects. I had 3 stone to lose, and I did it.
Right.
Because of that,
Wonderful.
I hardly ever get another attack. It's been what, since 2019, touch wood, alhamdulillah,
Mashallah. Mashallah. Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
this. And this is why I've been saying to everyone, until you look after your gut, until you look after what's inside,
Yes.
that obviously there was so much more, but there was a lot of
Yes.
issues, health issues that I had that I needed to resolve, which I
Mm.
have. So yeah.
I think with your story, you've helped so many people, not just your own self, and you've grown into this amazing. I mean, you're always lovely,
Oh,
but I think there's a real beautiful maturity about you and a real
oh,
um, giving nature. Like you're always like that, but I felt like it's heart led, and that's what treatment should be like. It should be
it is.
led with the heart. And you've helped so many, and you continue to do so. So you are a brilliant advocate for this.
Oh, thank
And
you.
like Allah Ta'ala chooses people, that
I
and
hope
you're
so.
the
I hope
chosen one.
so. I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not worthy of
Yes.
anything, but honestly, if I didn't have my Allah, if I didn't have my God, I don't think I would be able to, if they say if you have that faith, if you have that tawakkul, then you can carry on. Because I gave my everything to God. I was just like, you know what? I've got this issue. I've given it to you. Now lead. If I'm on the right path, then just lead me. And this is what he did. He carried me on. And I was so down for a really long time that I had to resign from my general practice training. I only had 3 months left. And as doctors, we're
Oh.
always so driven. We're always like, we've got to get
Mm.
to a certain place. Oh yeah, we've got
Yeah.
to do that. And for me, that again broke me down, and then slowly rebuild and change my career. But then once I looked into functional medicine and metabolic balance, and I was like, this is a whole new way of thinking. It's not just throwing drugs at the problem, it's actually
Yeah.
looking inside the root cause of disease and helping that person from so that there's permanent help and you don't have to rely on
Yeah.
medication. And that's where we're at. And
Yeah.
I'm so, so blessed to have finally been able to do what I enjoy, which is weight loss. Because, everyone has issues with their weight, including myself. And having been
Yeah.
on steroids, my weight has just stayed, stagnant. And therefore, it does need help from time to time.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, yeah, just always count your blessings. That's all.
That's a great message to leave us on. And thank you so much. I think that I will be taking a another trip to your
You need to come
clinic, and I
over.
encourage everybody else to.
Thank
Absolutely. We're going
you.
to do a proper one. It was just a flying visit. I was in the territory. But thank you so much. And I wish you all the best with your
Thank
clinic.
you.
I will leave the details on how to contact you. Thank you so much for
Thank you
educating
so
us
much.
and improving our health, inshallah, and living happily and healthily. Thank you so much, Toby. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you
darling.
so much.
Thanks.
Assalamu alaikum.